Bianca Lager. Let's get into our question of the week. Our company doesn't have a transparent formal review process. I recently found out that I'm not getting a merit increase 2 years in a row. There was minimal feedback and was due to my projects being scaled back due to budget cuts and layoffs. How do I navigate this moving forward to show my value? Excellent question, as always. Just really want to take a minute to really congratulate folks on such good questions. And I think probably there's a lot of people that can relate to this kind of thing, especially right now, economic downturn, budget cuts, layoffs, all sorts of stuff, difficult times. So the top of my advice to you is probably not going to be what you want to hear, frankly. But I think it's really important to address. So I think first and foremost, and I took some notes because I had a lot of thoughts on this. I think you don't have a value creation or value communication problem. I think here what you have is a growth roadblock. I think whatever it is that you do, it might be engineering, it might be marketing, whatever projects that you're involved with, it sounds like the company is under financial strain. And so it sounds like your ability to create value, period, let alone communicate it, is pretty limited. So even if you said all the right things, I think you're going to end up in a place where there is constant pushback and sort of reasons and excuses why you're still not getting a raise, or why your performance isn't being recognized as, great, and why you're not being recognized in the way that you probably feel like you should be. And that being said, merit increases are very much based on that. They're designed for top performing employees to receive recognition and credit for great performances. And it's a way for companies to employ strategies to keep employee retention high, right? People do well and you say, hey, great, here's your 2 to 5% a year. And we want you to stick around. Usually if it's more than that, it's more along the lines of a promotion or something like that. So merit increases are definitely not guaranteed. And some companies don't give them to everybody. Some companies only give them to certain employees. It sounds like your company, that's another thing you're battling. You don't have a formal process at all. It sounds like probably a smaller company where there's not as much of that kind of structure there. And that's a challenge as well, right? Because there isn't necessarily like something you can almost like appeal or go back to and say, hey, where's X, Y, and Z? I bet it's tempting to help them solve this problem and try to say, well, hey, here's how we can do merit increases and here's resources to do a formal process. I'm guessing you're not in the HR department. You might be though. If you are, it's appropriate, I think, for you to kind of get involved and pitch these things. If it's that small of a company, it might be also appropriate because you might wear a lot of hats, or you might just say, hey, Nancy, let me help you on this. Like I've seen it done in other companies, and here's how we can implement a more formal performance review process. But I just don't, you clearly say too that that's not the case. They've sort of been cutting back for other reasons. So I think the merit increase concept is a lot more to do with the financial situation of the company and a lot less to do with, there just not being effort being made here. Either way, it's not really your problem in the sense that it's not your responsibility to solve it, I should say, because it obviously is your problem. So I think the company you're at is just not in the position to support your career growth. Certainly not your salary growth, right? So I think you have to weigh your circumstances and decide what you want to do. There might be really good reasons for you to stay at this company. You might love your coworkers. You might have a fantastic boss. You might have amazing flexibility. You might have great benefits. There might be some really, really good reasons for you to stay at this company. And those are all valid reasons. You don't have to, feel like there's one thing and you have to kind of die on the hill. Now, if there is one thing that is preventing you from achieving your goals, preventing you from the growth that you desire, you really have to understand what your values are here and what you value the most. If that company of yours is meeting those values, if you have, common values with this company, or if it's something that you just actually also think like ethically, this isn't right. Like, get your act together, company. So that's all fair. And in all those things, I think you need to get your resume together. I think you probably need to take an online course or work with a career coach to decide and figure out what that equation is for you. And if the equation is on the side of leaving that company, figure out what those next steps specifically look like for you. You're in a great advantage spot because you are gainfully employed, so there isn't a pressure. And it might actually work out really much better for you by getting an opportunity where, you are actually increasing your income. Like that's the best for all scenarios. So the alternative to not leaving is, of course, staying. And what does that look like when you're there? Well, what'll end up happening is you'll probably end up spending a lot of time and effort, probably make yourself a little bit nuts in the process, trying to convince these people that you deserve more money, and you might succeed. Eventually, right? But at what cost? There's certainly opportunity cost out there. So, this is a bit of a hard truth, but frankly, when a company decides and employs a strategy of not giving merit increases, they understand this risk that employees might leave. They're taking on that risk willfully. And so what does that say about the value equation of yourself and your company at work? And this is not to say like you're not valuable enough and this is like, oh, you need to work on that. It could be the case, but I think probably it's just that they're not in the financial position to prioritize that kind of employee retention strategy. Does that make sense? And if that, merit increase and that increase in income is the most important thing in your career right now, or it is the top need that you need met, that's fair. And it's not a match for you here. So, it's really not up to you to educate these people that that's what that means, right? That employers are going to leave if you don't get a formal review process together. You leaving will be their education. So don't worry about that. Okay, so beyond that, if you do want to fight the good fight, I do have some practical advice for you. If, there are other things and other reasons to say like, okay, you know what, you're right, Bianca, I get it. I'm just going to ride this out. Maybe some things will turn around. Maybe you can even contribute to things turning around, help them with revenue growth or something like that. That is a really good way for you to show your value and, continue your employment there and also get everything that you want. So I would say that the options there, one of the things I would focus on if I were you is to find resourceful ways for you to cut spending without cutting revenue creation. That's instant value and instant return for them, right? So I don't know exactly what you do, but you might be able to spin a business case to say like, okay, by not doing X and Y, I saved us 15K and, it didn't affect revenue creation at all. In fact, maybe it helped us retain a client or helped us get a new client in this way, or I don't know, something so that there isn't like you reduce the spend and it also reduced the revenue. It's just that, hey, we're reducing unnecessary spend. So, whatever that quantified amount, if you can quantify it, it's really, really helpful. This might be time efficiency in projects. It might be an actual like program cut. It could be a number of ways, but there are ways, and this is also where a career coach will really help you quantify what that is and create that business case for you. But, again, let's just use my example of 15K and you say, because I've reduced that spend, I'd like to see us, move that number from that program that I cut or whatever to my salary over the next 12 months, and really just take 3K of that. So that amounts to, I don't know, a 3% raise for me. So, you keep the 12K basically, give me 3, and there we go. We call it good. That helps me with my goals or whatever else. I'm really providing this in a sloppy way, but I think you get the point. Outside of that, you could ask for other things other than a merit increase. L&D spend, which you can use not for nothing for a leadership course or a career counselor. You could ask for more PTO. You could ask for more leverage with working from home or flexibility, maybe every other Friday off. I don't know. Like, you can really try to target something else in your compensation package that is beneficial for you. I know you don't have to do this for the company wide, but you can go to your boss and say, hey, I understand financial strain, whatever. In lieu of a merit increase, I'm wondering if we can look at my benefits for this year, my PTO, whatever it is, insert the compensation point that you want here. Ask for a new monitor, a laptop, I don't know, whatever it is that you will feel good about and that you feel like is, in recognition of your work for the company. It will help you a lot with your emotional state in the company if you're otherwise happy. And again, I can't emphasize enough, if you're not, time to go, unfortunately. So thank you again for the question. This has been the Blink Weekly Newsletter 101 with Bianca Lager. I will see you all in your inbox.